Mayor, members of the committee. So if you'll recall, back in May, we began this conversation with the presidents of St. Augustine's University and Shaw Universities about the ways in which we as an organization could support their institutions as they grow and move into the future. And a couple of items, specific items, came out of that last conversation as far as staff follow-up is concerned. The first one was further exploration on the Charlotte Mayor's Racial Equity Initiative, which has raised a substantial amount of money to support, among other things, Johnson C. Smith University in the city of Charlotte. So staff has done a deep dive exploration of that particular initiative, and we'll be presenting on just kind of providing the committee with an overview of that initiative. We also heard from both presidents about a proposal for a digital workforce hub. And so that is also something that staff has taken a closer look at. The proposal that was presented back in May will kind of be providing this committee with an overview of that as well. But we do have committee with an overview of that as well. But we do have representatives from both St. Augustine's and Shaw with us, including Dr. Dillard, President Dillard and President McPhail. And I did say that since they're in the House, if they had any opening remarks that they might wish to make, that they have that opportunity before we get into the staff presentations.
Okay. If anybody would like to come up to the microphone.
Good afternoon, members of the Raleigh City Council. I'm Paulette Dillard, president of Shaw University. Excited to be back and follow up on the work that the committee has done, especially the staff deep dives on the two ideas that we brainstormed a little bit about at our last session. We are closing in on the end of the fall semester, so both of our institutions have been quite busy with the business of homecoming and enrollments and all of those kind of things. So primarily for today, we're grateful to be here and interested in hearing the staff report and determining what next steps could be. So thank you for this time and this opportunity.
Thank you. Our illustrious president from Shaw spoke for both of us, and we're delighted that you understood the message and you're willing to further the conversation with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll welcome up to the podium Emily Lapel, who is a senior policy analyst in the manager's office. She's been doing the hard work of evaluating the MREI initiative in Charlotte and is going to provide the committee with a summary of her research.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council members, ACM Raleigh, and Presidents Dillard and McPhail. Thank you so much for allowing me to present to you today. I'm Emily Lapel, a senior policy analyst with the City Manager's Office, and I'm bringing a brief summary of findings on Charlotte's Mayor's Race Equity Initiative. First, this presentation will provide a little background on the request. Then I'll provide a brief overview of the MREI program, and I'll discuss the governance of the program. And lastly, I'll cover how the MREI impacts Charlotte's HBCU, Johnson C. Smith University. So Evan already covered this, but just again, this is a follow-up from our May ED&I committee. Committee members met with Raleigh's HBCUs to discuss how the City of Raleigh can be a partner to enhance student experiences in workforce preparedness. Staff was directed to explore the City of Charlotte's MREI with a specific focus on the HBCU component of their plan. In November 2021, Mayor Lyles announced the Race Equity Initiative. The goal was to raise $250 million between the City of Charlotte and Charlotte's philanthropic community. The city committed $100 million and set a $150 million fundraising goal for the private sector. According to city staff, Mayor Lyles tapped the Charlotte Executive Leadership Council first to develop a partnership for this endeavor. Staff shared that they developed 4 priority focus areas: which are illustrated in this chart over here. Bridging the digital divide and establishing a center for digital equity, investing in Charlotte's 6 corridors of opportunity neighborhoods, transforming JCSU into a top-tier career-focused HBCU, ensuring organizations commit to racial equity through advancing more Black leaders and leaders of color within their individual corporations. The funding goals amounts on the right indicate the private side fundraising goals. It doesn't all add up to 250. Once the initiatives were developed, the CELC and the mayor created a budget which gave them the fundraising goal. Key here is that the personal networks of the members of the CELC were integral to the fundraising goals being met, and key donors were the Duke Endowment, Bank of America, Lowe's, Truist, as well as individual donors. Additionally, Malcolm Coley, the Charlotte managing partner of EY, was key in bringing corporate stakeholders together to donate money and time to the MREI. In this slide, I'll talk about the governance structure of the MREI. The Foundation of the Carolinas is a big partner in managing the funds of the MREI, and they manage all the privately raised funds, where the City of Charlotte maintains and manages funding for all public dollars. The Foundation's role is purely monetary facilitation, and they manage the pledges of all donors, collecting pledge payments and dispersing the funds to the 4 work streams as their committees approve distribution. Each of the 4 work streams manages their own work, with each work stream having its own funder advisory committee. Currently, each funder advisory committee meets as needed and provides approval for funding release requests made by the entity overseeing the subject matter area. Some councils have engaged a racial equity consultant to work directly on their priority focus area. This approach, however, is changing as staff from the Foundation of the Carolinas shared that having a single entity coordinate the equity component of the work is important to ensuring accountability. The Foundation of the Carolinas recently put out an RFP seeking for a coordinating entity that will lead the work and ensure that it maintains an equity focus. Next, I'm going to dive into the priority goal of transforming JCSU into a top-tier career-focused HBCU. In 2023, JCSU announced a strategic plan, the Golden Blueprint. The strategic plan focuses on 4 pillars with the goal of making it a world-class institution and move economic viability upward and mobility throughout the entire region. I spoke with Dr. Nicole McDonald, the Senior Vice President of Transformation Initiatives, to learn more about the connection between the Golden Blueprint and the MREI. Dr. McDonald shared that the Golden Blueprint laid out the framework for how the university wanted to move into the future and married very well with the MREI program. As you can see, the 4 pillars of the Golden Blueprint are academics, growth enrollment, comprehensive recruitment and retention strategies, infrastructure improvements of the university. As part of the funding component, the work supports the tenets of the MREI plan, and JCSU had to identify a strategy for sustainability and general fiscal management associated with what they were doing so funding would support these key areas. Capital projects are not supported by the MREI. However, the Funder Advisory Committee did permit $9 million to be allocated to minor improvements around campus that were important to recruitment and retention of students, such as upgrading dormitories. Key performance indicators of the plan are also the key performance indicators that the Funder Advisory Committee has chosen to use as well. As is common in a lot of equity work, it's difficult to quantify, so that's why they chose to align the KPIs with the Golden Blueprint. The KPIs focused on increasing enrollment, increasing the profile of the students enrolling, increasing student retention and graduation rates, such as how many students are registering for courses on time, completing FAFSA by April 1st, and then also providing support for the Student Health Center. They're also tracking graduation outcomes. When did students graduate, and what are they doing, and how much are they making? They're also doing exit surveys with students to see how satisfied with their educational experience. Additionally, they're increasing experiential learning programs across all 4 years, and their partnership with the MREI program and the folks within their Funder Advisory Committee has been key to enhancing those experiential learning opportunities. Currently, JCSU and its Funder Advisory Committee are transitioning from fundraising goals towards governance and action, and there's been some growing pains here, as Dr. McDonald shared with me. The Funder Advisory Committee needs to address the governance approach. And she recommended that if Raleigh chooses to do something similar to this, that they codify how consensus building will be structured earlier along in the process and relationship between the 2 entities. So lastly, just overarching lessons learned from the MREI program is that Charlotte has a really strong culture of corporate philanthropy, and this has allowed the MREI's fundraising efforts to be successful. For example, in July of 2023, the MREI shared a report on its fundraising efforts that they'd raised $245.5 million of the $250 million goal. As of July 2023, $83 million has been allocated across the 4 focus areas. But however, additionally, staff from the Foundation of the Carolinas emphasized this as well. The governance structures of the funding mechanisms has proven to be disjointed, and bringing on a consultant to ensure mission creep does not occur may be beneficial, which is why they put out that RFP. Lastly, the injection of human capital into spaces that do not typically see corporate involvement on this scale has had a positive impact, such as an increase of corporate presence on JCSU's Board of Trustees, and an increase of internship opportunities with career growth in the banking and financial industry. That concludes my presentation, and I thank you again for your time.
That's a lot. Also telling is Charlotte has a very involved list of corporate headquarters who obviously are participating in this. One of our challenges is we don't. Do we have any questions related to the research that was provided?
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
So with most of the money raised, was it coming from, I know like Charlotte has a really big banking community there. Was it the banking community that was putting a lot of the money into the?
Yeah, the Duke Endowment actually placed the most amount of money, place is not the right word, into the JCSU portion of the program in that priority focus area. But yeah, the banking sector was a huge part of this. Bank of America, Truist, EY, Lowe's, a lot of those corporate headquarters that are out in Charlotte were big proponents of this.
Well, I think one of the things that I find interesting is that I know Charlotte, while Charlotte has a big banking community, one thing they don't have is the research community that we have here. And a lot of people are locating here because of the opportunities to grow their organizations and their businesses. So it's like, I think we have an opportunity to have, like, be thoughtful about if we wanted to do something like this, how we could partner with like people out in Research Triangle and a lot of the other like really big tech companies that are moving out here that may be interested in like putting money and energy into the local HBCU population here that could be working in their sector one day. That was something that stuck out to me.
I guess I had a question. You said 83 million had already been distributed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And so of the remaining, because they've raised up 243 million. Is that right?
245.5.
Okay. So how will the rest of the money be allocated? Like how, over what time frame or structure do they have that to allocate the rest of the funds?
That's a good question. I couldn't find an exact time frame in which there'd be an endpoint to this project, but I can look again and ask the contacts that I have made over there. But that's the key to the governance structure is on the private side, it's the funder advisory committees that disperse based on whatever their priority focus area committee determines to be appropriate use of those funds. It was interesting to me in talking to folks because coming from the public sector, there's a lot more transparency in how we have to allocate our funds, whereas there it was definitely a lot more opaque. And also membership of the Funder Advisory Committee is primarily based on donor amounts and not necessarily lived experience or whatnot, which again is just a difference I noticed compared to how we set up our boards and commissions in the public sector.
Okay, I don't have any additional questions. I think we're going to hear next about the NC Digital Workforce Hub.
Correct, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark Weldon with our Small Business Development Division is going to give you a presentation on that.
All right, I think I've got it. All right. Good afternoon, Mayor, committee members, esteemed guests. Mark Weldon from Housing and Neighborhoods. I lead the small business development team here for the City of Raleigh, and wanted to give you an update of the Digital Workforce Hub that we also heard about at the May meeting. I want to hit 3 points, I guess, kind of a past, present, future, recapping the essential elements of the Digital Workforce Hub, as well as key findings from the staff evaluation, and then some ideas how to keep momentum forward. First of all, just recapping the program, the Digital Workforce Hub. This was from a proposal that was circulating back in the early days of ARPA, back in August of 2021. The proposal was for just over $15 million by WRC. That's an umbrella organization that also includes the Wireless Research Center, Riot, and Community Connecting organization as well. The proposal itself had 3 main digital divide challenges it was trying to address the digital skills gap, affordability, and lack of connectivity. And then overarching goals based in equity and community were to provide some training and connect residents to technology, as well as providing a community and some infrastructure to create the knowledge workers of tomorrow. With the investigation that the staff has been able to do, we were able to identify some related digital divide efforts that could work in parallel from the public and education sector. 3 that are going on inside the City of Raleigh. The first one is probably the most recent one. We're doing some exploration of an innovation hub through our Smart Cities team here with the City of Raleigh. We also have some longer standing organizational elements, digital connectors, and digital inclusion programs out of our Pathway Center, also part of our Housing and Neighborhoods Department. Wake Tech, of course, has their digital learning and some access resources there. Wake County, really more just an access point. We couldn't find a whole lot of training with digital resources with the library, but certainly from an access perspective, they're players in that space. From the private sector, the co-working communities that we're blessed with here in the Raleigh and Triangle area engage in some work like this, as well as for-profit technical training. Oops. We do have probably still some key questions that we would need to look into. Some recent work from our Digital Divide Economic Development Initiative team has done a survey, and some work would need to be done to drill into the details of the outcomes of that survey to understand how that can best mesh up with something like a digital workforce hub. From a benchmarking perspective, we know that Wake Forest has gotten an early start on their part of the program. Just going back a little bit, the $15 million was a combination of City of Raleigh as well as Wake Forest, and the $15 million was also broken just about half and half between programming expense as well as campus outfit expenses. So we did have some conversation with the folks in Wake Forest. It sounds like they're getting some early momentum. The Innovation Hub is still an early work in progress here with our Smart Cities team, and we would want to do some more exploration without some actual outcomes, current and near term, on those programs. From a risk management perspective, just like any other program that the city does, we know that we would want to be careful with audit and oversight requirements, including project ownership, reporting, accountability, kind of along the same vein of what the previous presentation, just making sure we know who's driving, who's reporting, who's accountable for what along the way. And then last but certainly not least, the significant challenge of identifying funding sources, private partners, city resources, other public funding, as well as foundations, grants, and other resources. As we go forward into this, we believe that one way to approach this would be to focus on the work, focus the energy in some of our existing initiative teams in our city economic development framework. We have 3 teams in particular that are doing work that is very related to the proposal for the digital workforce hub that could help carry some of this research forward. One is EDI 2.1, which focuses on partnerships and workforce development. The project that they had been working is kind of coming to a conclusion, so we have an opportunity for some capacity there to put some of this work there. EDI 4.2 is a team that is specifically all about the digital divide, and they're the ones that had recently gone through the U.S. Digital Response Survey to understand digital divide, the gaps that are in the community for technology, and that's probably a perfect place for the Smart Cities Innovation Hub research to live in that team as well. And then finally, EDI 4.3, that is an initiative team that's really broadly about equitable economic development. We already have some work going on there. The public-private community support fund work along the BRT corridor is already being worked in that area. We have some mapping efforts that have identified small businesses and other commercial elements along the BRT corridor and citywide are there. So further engagement opportunities with our HBCU partners would be a very good fit in that initiative team. So that would be kind of housing up where these efforts would continue to have some energy going forward, but clearly we still would have some homework to do. And that is where we are today, and happy to take your questions and direction forward.
Okay. Do we have any questions? I'm just going to say I think that this has more potential as opposed to the first initiative. That was really, the first initiative was really ambitious, and I just don't see, I know what it was like just to raise $600,000 for small businesses when we did the
Raleigh Relief Fund.
Yes, when we did the fund, and that took a lot of effort. So the banks that give in Charlotte do not give like that in Raleigh. And so I'm thinking that this digital opportunity might make more sense.
I think one of the points that I would just like to add to the report is.
Yeah, come on up.
Yes.
You might want to sit in the front row.
Get my steps in.
Yeah.
Roller skates.
I do want to make the point that one of the things in the original proposal that was very important is locating a hub on the now north and in the southeast Raleigh community. And so that we would begin to include a diverse workforce of knowledge workers coming out of the Southeast Raleigh community. And so one of the big issues for the Innovation Workforce Development Hub is to place it where it was ease of access and the ability to include those that are most impacted by the digital divide in the workforce training and development. And I'm not sure that that was captured in the original proposal. That's why it was a northern hub and a southeast Raleigh hub. So, thank you.
Getting back to the the first initiative, I don't know that we want to foreclose or shut the door on that particular opportunity. I just don't know that we could reach that dollar amount. So it may be worth having some additional, conversation with community partners to see if there's any appetite for some level of participation. It may not be 250 million, but there may be some appetite from some of our businesses to participate in something similar. So I still would like for us to see if we could explore that opportunity, but maybe have a different set of expectations. We would love to get you 250 million, but I just don't know that we can. But there may be some appetite for some participation from the business community. So I would like to explore that opportunity.
Well, and let me ask, have you all met with the business community to talk about this idea?
No, I haven't, because of the uniqueness of and effectiveness of Charlotte's approach, to it was through the city government to the business community, because we're constantly engaging with the business community as institutions for fundraising and supporting particular initiatives, but not about a $250 million racial equity, investment.
Same for St. Augustine's, we have not. Of course, our own foreign work, we're actively engaged in reaching out to corporations on a regular basis. The message that we were hoping to communicate is request for the city to own its HBCUs and to see how we could, through the resources of the city, send a message to the corporations that the city of Raleigh expects you to work with your HBCUs, and here's some opportunities that the city is sending your way for you being responsive to that. And I think that's what happened in Charlotte, that the city said that Johnson C. Smith is important to us. We are first going to own this experience, and we're going to invite you corporations to come in, and they worked out the city, then they went larger in the county, and you can see the result of that joint partnership.
How has staff done anything with this?
So to date, we've basically just done the assessment and analysis that Emily walked us through to kind of understand how that initiative was constructed in Charlotte, and thinking about how, really wanted to make sure that we understood what made that engine go, so to speak. And so that's what we've provided to you to date is essentially what we've done in investigating it.
Councilmember Black?
I agree with Councilmember Fort. And maybe I'm understanding this differently, but I kind of see the two initiatives kind of related and similar, but different fundamentally. And I get what the two presidents of Shaw and St. Aug are saying about, it sends a different message to the business community that could be putting money into something like this when the city is behind them as a partner. So I'm wondering how we can strengthen that understanding going forward while trying to figure out what to do, because that process really does make sense to me, especially considering that they are HBCUs. It really shows a lot when the city is this is something that we're looking to do, and you should put your economic power behind these sorts of initiatives. So, and maybe 250 is a really, really big goal, but I would wonder what could be a way that the city can support having these conversations with the business communities that we do have in place, like I mentioned within the research triangle, or other business opportunities or business ventures that we have within the city, and how we can be supportive. That's a question that I have, because we, as a city, we have a lot of opportunity to have a lot of different conversations.
Yeah, one question I do have too is, okay, have you looked at where funding from the city budget would come from? I mean, Charlotte put in how much?
100.
Yeah. I mean, And I know we don't have 100 million.
Check your couch cushions, Mayor.
Yeah. What, I mean, is that an area that we could explore?
Absolutely, yeah. We could certainly get a better understanding of the municipal resources that were committed to this, kind of what those sources look like. Certainly as it relates to resources that we may have available to us. Yeah, we can definitely do some further exploration on that front.
Would it be possible to do exploration on the businesses that would be aligned with supporting something like this, like kind of working both sides at the same time, where it's like we're looking at the budget within the fiscal side of the city and then looking at like what businesses would be interested in coming in and supporting?
Just my thought on that. I think certainly, staff is willing to have whatever conversations out in the community that the committee or council would direct us to have. It could be beneficial, maybe to start with folks. I think there was a mention of inroads or having conversations, maybe using some of those existing relationships from a council level, in terms of where you might want to open a door or have for us to enter, so to speak. So,
And if I may jump in,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is something that we can invite the Raleigh Chamber to maybe be a partner with us on, because they've got those built-in relationships with the business community, and maybe through their partnership, they can assist with some of the advocacy work on that side that takes it away from the staff trying to
Right.
engage in those conversations. So maybe worth having that conversation with Adrienne Cole and her team to see if there are ways that they can assist us with that, with opening those conversations.
I was also thinking the Research Triangle Foundation
RTI, sure.
would be, probably offer more potential because of the types of organizations that are located there. So talking
sure.
with them, I think, might be beneficial.
We're certainly willing to, if that's something that the committee would like us to pursue, we're happy to do that.
And with the digital workforce hub, I'd like to see that explored more, in more detail, like some specific options, like something we could achieve.
I'm really interested in the digital divide because I know that was a big thing that was very telling during the height of COVID, being that we moved into a virtual space and not everybody having access to have like Wi-Fi and like access to being in the digital space. So like how can we be more supportive of that across the city? And I know the I think it's the strategic ideas, I can't remember the exact department name, is really doing a lot of work around
Strategy and innovation.
Strategy and innovation, thank you. Strategic ideas. It's really working. They have some interesting things going down with like how we're getting internet across the city, specifically in our like city facilities and in other places that we can. So I would really like to learn more about that. I know you said that there was going to be a deeper dive into the survey that was going to be coming back. Do you know when that's going to be coming back? Yeah, it's to you.
Yes.
The survey, you said that you're going to be doing a deeper dive into the survey for the digital divide.
Yes, the Office of Strategy and Innovation is working an initiative with an innovation hub, and then at the same time, the strategic initiative team, EDI 4.2, has got the survey, and they're working their way through the results of that. I don't have a timeline of what that might look like.
I guess good afternoon, council members. So yes, EDI 4.2, that initiative that completed a survey looking at the digital divide. So we're looking at how people were accessing the internet. We looked at how, why, if they didn't have access to the internet, why was that, and how many providers were in the area. We were looking at more of the infrastructure, seeing if it was an infrastructure problem. And what the survey turned up was that the biggest issue that folks had was a lack of awareness of different resources available to them for internet. And it was a lack of affordability. So they either couldn't, if there were multiple providers, say a Sprint or an AT&T, Google, they couldn't afford to move to one of those other providers because of the cost, and a lot of them just lacked awareness of, they didn't know that there were other providers. They had somebody like Spectrum for their whole duration of their stay using the internet, and they didn't know they had options of other providers where they're still in that area. So that was really what the two big drivers were: lack of awareness and also lack of affordability, was what we found in that EDI 4.2.
That's really interesting. I think those both have policy points that the city could be more supportive of around, like, what's our role in communicating the options for different people, and then is there any way that we could have an impact on the affordability issue? But I would love to see that. I don't know when you guys are going to bring that back, but I think that would be a really great conversation to also have here at the table and during the Economic Development Committee.
Thank you, Ferdinand. Any other questions about the strategic work? Okay. My apologies. My hearing is not good today.
It's okie dokie. I did have one question, and I just wanted to make sure I was clear. You mentioned a hub in the north and a hub in the southeast. Like, what specifically would that be? I want to make sure I understood.
I'm sorry. It was described the progress they've already made in Wake Forest.
Okay.
So that was one site. And we were hoping for a similar site in Southeast Raleigh, focused on workforce development for knowledge workers, because they all are not going to be engineers. And so that digital divide and the need for access to training and workforce development for that knowledge area. So in addition to access affordability, we need knowledge workers. And so we wanted to locate a similar hub in Southeast Raleigh that is being developed with the support of the city of Wake Forest on the North Campus. So those were the two locations.
Okay. And that was coming from the proposal from the, okay.
The original proposal.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Anything else? So I guess this goes back to you, staff, for some more work.
Yeah, I think we have. I think we've got pretty clear direction in terms of follow-ups on both of these items that we can move forward with.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. All right, our next item, we will have a virtual guest for this. Can we
Yes.
use these, or?
We can use these, yes.
Okay.
So our next item is the music generator program that Councilmember Black referred at a recent meeting to have this committee explore. So with us this afternoon is Sway Key, coming to us virtually with the music generator program, and she is going to provide the committee with an overview of this music incubator program for emerging artists and entrepreneurs. So with that, Sway, I'll turn the virtual floor over to you.
Where are you located?
Thank you. Hi, I am in Detroit, Michigan. Good afternoon. My name is Sway T.
Hi, Sway.
Hi, Mary. I'm doing a little pause in case anybody wants to jump in, because I know there's a delay sometimes with these things, but I will go ahead and get started. Thank you all for your time. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm going to share my screen. I want to do this in full screen, so if you could just let me know if you see it how I'd like it to be seen, that'd be great.
Looks good.
All right, thank you. So I will start with a brief introduction about me. Again, my name is Sway Key. I'm born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I am a singer, songwriter, musician, and producer in my past life. I was formerly signed to Motown Records as an artist. I was signed personally by the president of the label at the time. So I had this really unique experience in getting to be right up under that person's wing. And I was privy to a lot of email threads and department meetings and goings on inside of a label that most artists don't get to be a part of. So that really helped me on a very intimate level to understand the music industry. And I didn't really understand everything that was happening then, but took that experience with me and definitely am using it in my present work. After I left the label, I went into the education space. So I started teaching what was natural for me, music, privately and also in the K-8 classrooms. So I was having to figure out on the fly at these alternative community schools, how do you develop a curriculum for to get somebody from A to B in a certain amount of time. So that experience with being at the label, with just having a deep passion for music and marketing and how to launch an artist, all of that stuck with me and turned out to be very useful in my present role. I started at Generator about 4 years ago. I've been the director of Generator Music Detroit since then, and I've been tweaking and fine-tuning this program in the various markets that we've offered it. And I am so excited to tell you more about it, and hopefully we can get it in Raleigh. So a little bit about Generator. We are a nationally ranked venture capital firm and accelerator that brings together startup founders, investors, corporations, job seekers, universities, musicians, and visual artists. We believe that genius exists everywhere, and regardless of race, place, or gender, people deserve opportunities, and that's what we consider our mission. Generator Music Detroit is an accelerator specifically for musicians. So I call musicians your singers, your songwriters, your musicians who actually play instruments, and your writers and your producers. I umbrella all of those folks under the name. I just sometimes refer to them as artists or musicians. That'll be interchangeable throughout this deck. But it's a free accelerator program that's open to musicians, no cost to them. We don't ask them to sign anything. We are just here to support and mentor them so that they can have a successful and sustainable career in music. And everything that we do is completely customized to support every artist that comes through the program. Essentially, what we're doing is what any traditional accelerator would do for somebody in the agriculture or manufacturing or technology space. We're helping them and giving them the tools that they need to create sustainable businesses. Everything that we do is trying to shift their mindset from starving artists and hobbyists to successful entrepreneur with a scalable product going directly to my target audience. We also want them to help create thriving cultural ecosystems within their communities. That looks like spending their grant money with artists or with other people in the community that look like them and speak like them and talk like them and live near them. So it's all circulating within the community, and we're absolutely supporting their entrepreneurship journey. And like I said earlier, just putting the tools in their hands that they need to understand this industry they're trying to dive into and be successful in it. This is not something that is very common right now. Most times, if you're an artist, you're just expected to be talented and know how to market yourself to your audience, which is not usually the case. We have an amazing advisory board. I'm fortunate to be able to call a lot of the names on this list my personal mentors. They come from all of the companies that you see on the screen in front of you, just industry stakeholders, up to 35 years of experience in the music industry, and very passionate about helping us achieve this mission of helping artists. They've seen lots of artists come across their desks, and they know how competitive it is and what it takes to make it. And so they're really dedicated to helping us as a program fine tune what we're doing and connecting us with resources when needed. So to date, in these markets, we've distributed these funds and grants, $240,000 in Milwaukee, $80,000 in Cleveland, and $225,000 in Detroit. We've had 4 artist cohorts in Milwaukee, 1 in Cleveland, and 4 here in Detroit, and we've impacted thousands of artists in each of those markets by way of our public programming, our accelerator programming, and lots more that I'll continue to tell you more about. So this is how we do it. We have this funnel, and I kind of split it up because it's a lot to look at first, and I wanted you to focus on these individual parts. But we have free and open to the public programming. So this looks like workshops where we're getting about 250 people to come out. We invite a guest. It's on a topic. It's very conversational, lots of Q&A. And these are the answers to questions that artists just can't find on Google or YouTube. These are like, gems that are being shared in intimate settings. So those workshops are very, very useful to the community, and they always bring out a lot of people. In any given application cycle, we're seeing up to 400 applications at a time. And these are people who are, craving this kind of programming. This is artists, these are singers, these are producers who have never seen an opportunity like this in their market. And so they're applying in big numbers every cycle. We also offer office hours, which looks like an in-person or virtual phone call. It's really like a free consultation. Again, something an average artist would have to pay for, but we're giving this time to the artists to ask them, what's your biggest barrier? Here's some immediate practical resources to go out and work on to get over that barrier. And then we also have a 2-week masterclass series I'll tell you more about that is open to anybody who applies. Most accelerators in any vertical receive hundreds of applications, and they're turning away those who don't make it through to the next step. So instead of doing that, we want everybody who even applies, which is a really simple process, just contact information and 2 original songs. We want anybody who applies to be able to get something out of the process. And so we put them into an intensive 2-week masterclass series just for hitting submit. The next thing that we offer is our 6-week accelerator. This is open to 50 of those hundreds of applications that we receive. We give each of those 50 participants a $1,000 micro grant. This is to cover mixing and mastering of a couple songs, updating their website, maybe updating their wardrobe for an upcoming performance, just something immediate that they would have trouble raising capital for on their own. And think of the 6-week accelerator as like a music entrepreneurship crash course or music industry 101. We're heavy on the entrepreneurship skills in the beginning, and then it gets more creative on the second half. So this is really something that rounds them out as a new entrepreneur. And then we have our 12-week accelerator, where from that group of 50, we use a panel of national judges and also the discretion of the program director. And we narrow down to 4 participants, and each of these 4 participants receives a $25,000 grant. We use that grant in a very specific way that I'll talk about later. And we're taking them to New York. We're traveling to LA with them. We're rolling out a single on them. We're also offering mental health support during that time. We know that we're asking a lot of them as a creative, so we want to support them on that journey as best as we can, not just with the hard skills, but with the soft ones as well. And then post-program, we have ongoing support. We do refresh meetings, and we connect them with our corporate innovation network or our portfolio companies. Those are companies who've gone through the accelerators on our more traditional side of the company in tech and agriculture and manufacturing and insurance. So we're always making those connections where they make sense. And then we're just giving them resources really forever. I always tell people I have artists from my inaugural 2019 cohort, and then our during pandemic virtual 2020 cohort who are still reaching out, still inviting me to their shows, and still being engaged with the program. So this is a little bit more about the 2-week masterclass series. And I put this as its own slide in here because it's really important to me that we don't just send out rejection letters. We want anybody who had the courage to try to get something in reward for that, in exchange for that. So we're giving them 2 weeks of intensive hour to 2 hour long sessions that focus on branding and marketing fundamentals. And then we're also bringing in some executives in those spaces to do Q&A sessions. There's case studies, there's decks, there's information. We really want them, no matter how far they go in this process, in that funnel that you just saw, we really want them with their phone and a clean backdrop to be able to make some better content, connect better with their target audience, and turn that engagement into dollars. So these are the 2 accelerators that we offer. We have a 6-week and a 12-week. The 6-week, again, Music Industry 101, Entrepreneurship Crash Course. You can see the 6 topics listed there. These are just umbrellas. Within each of those weeks, there's subtopics. And in each of those weeks, I'm also inviting 2 to 3, again, industry stakeholders from around the industry. We've had heads of marketing from Capitol Music Group, A&Rs. We have representatives from Spotify and Apple Music come in and just do listening sessions and listen to the artist's music and give them live feedback. So a lot happens in those 6 weeks. It's very intensive. We meet for about 2 hours twice a week. We also have some team building exercises and outings in the middle of the program. And then we wrap up with a little celebration at the end of the program. And that 6-week accelerator is for 50 artists. For the 12-week, again, we narrow down to 4, and we move away from that weekly format to a phased format. Each of the phases is a month long. Phase one is create, where, music content strategy, whatever needs to be made. Phase two, we connect with industry stakeholders. We're taking them to LA and New York for 1 week each. We're doing at least a dozen meetings in each of those markets. We're meeting with, again, the major labels and their subsidiaries, the DSPs, your Amazon, Pandora, Spotify, Apple, Deezer, AudioMac, all of your various streaming platforms, where we're just really walking them into the music industry in those, those hub cities, and saying, these are, 4 amazingly talented artists who we believe in. They've got some creative budget to work with. How can we connect? How can we help? How can you be a part of their rise? After we've taken all those meetings and played all that music and auditioned for record deals on the spot and all those exciting things, we come back to our market and we get into phase three, where we actually roll out at a very high level a single, a video, some show dates, some merch to their target audience, things that we've identified and really doubled down on during the 6 and 12 week accelerator. And this is when we help them rise to the level of awareness of their target audience that's going to carry them after the grant is exhausted, after the program ends, so that now people know who they are, and they have a foundation to grow from. And I'll back up just a little bit. During that 12-week accelerator, this is when we're spending that $25,000 budget for them. Phase one, we use about a quarter of that to get in the studio and make things with photos, music, whatever needs to be made. Phase two, another quarter of that budget is used for travel. Usually they're very, wise with how they spend that money, where they're doing a shared Airbnb, renting a minivan instead of Ubering all over LA and using the subways in New York. I don't know about if we would do that now, because I'm just hearing too many stories about what's happening in New York with the things out there. But so we really help them spend that money and keep track of their finances. And then for phase three, that's when we use half of that 25K, so at least 12,500, to really, help them push this out. That's where we're hiring third-party marketers who can on the back end handle Facebook Ad Manager and Instagram, and just really be targeting who it is that would love their music and their story. So that's how we spend that budget for them. And then these are some of the things that we offer during the year when we're running those 6 and 12 week accelerators. Quarterly workshops, they happen 4 times a year. These are just some examples of the ones we've had in Detroit. Everybody's faces who you see here, these are, the big dogs in their fields, and we get them to come in and talk to our artists and answer our artists' questions. And this is, a great community opportunity. We'll have a DJ, a mixer. It's usually held at like a really nice spot in town where everybody wants to come and look great at. So it's really a benefit to the artists. They meet others that they didn't know who were engaged with the program. And it really becomes a great networking opportunity, but a huge learning experience for the artists as well. At the end of every program, we do a huge community showcase. And if you have your phones with you, you can scan that QR code in the upper right-hand corner, and that'll take you to the recap of our 2022 showcase, which was so good, so fun. The artists really showed out, and the community really showed up as well. So that was a great experience. 2020, we were completely virtual. The artists pre-recorded performances. We had every sponsor, every program supporter and champion do a video drop and compiled it all together. And that was a really great thing to watch in such a challenging time that we were all going through. And here's a little bit of artist feedback from what artists say about the program. They think that, artists everywhere can benefit from this, and that the speakers drop so many gems during those sessions where they're invited to speak. The participants who've come through the program believe that every artist needs this programming if they're serious about taking their career to the next level. And then also, it should be noted that in the very beginning of our program, we didn't even have a 6-week accelerator. We just narrowed down to that magical 4, We realized there was more need, so we wanted to open up the program, and now we work with 50 artists, 50 new entrepreneurs in a 6-week accelerator. And one of the participants mentioned that they were so glad that so many artists were able to have that opportunity at once. And it let them know that, they were not on that journey alone. And that's one of the community aspects on ecosystem building things that happens within the program very organically. So this is us by the numbers. We see a 50% average increase. I'm sorry, I'm reading that wrong. We aim for a 50% increase in monthly revenues for our artist participants. When you're looking at a traditional accelerator, it's very easy to define, like what does success for a business look like? When you're talking about artists, what success looks like has to be very subjective. For an artist who's starting out with maybe one song recorded, success for them would be putting out an EP of 5 songs and getting 1,000 listens. For an artist who's a little bit further down the road, that success is going to look different. So that's why we set that marker that we're tracking for at just a 50% increase in monthly revenue within 6 to 12 months of exiting the program. Every program, we infuse $150,000 into the local economy in the form of grants. That's going to those 50 6-week accelerator participants and then those 4 12-week accelerator participants. Over the years, we've received close to 2,000 applications. Again, these are artists in the communities who want this opportunity. From participants, we see an average of a 10,000% increase in Spotify monthly listeners. That means people care. People are clicking. People are going to that link in bio and they're wanting to hear these songs. And for an artist, that's gold, because so many artists upload songs to Spotify every day and hardly get any listens. So to see that number from participants is a really great indicator of the work we're doing. Over the years, we've had 68 accelerator participants. We have had more than 1,600 workshop attendees. We offer over 250 hours of office hours, follow-ups, and resources to the public, and we run the program in 3 markets. Here are some artist highlights. I'll breeze through these. I forgot to set my timer. I don't know how long I've been speaking. Sorry if I'm running long. But this is Curtis Roach. He came through the program in 2020. And we estimate that he made close to $500,000 in revenue from a song that he released during the program. He was able to secure all of these amazing sponsorship opportunities. This is what success looks like for him. It's different for every artist, and we just want to support artists wherever they are and help them grow. Here's another artist charity, also from Detroit. Her debut album, Tenderheaded, was released in 2020 and earned her 800,000 streams. That generated about $4,500 in income, which is not a lot because streams just don't pay a lot of money. However, she was able to book more than 12 paid shows. And I'm going from memory. I know some of them were not in Detroit. So she was, taking control of her market and getting to those regional cities as well. She later opened for Lucky Day and PJ Morton and released a follow-up EP last December, where she sold out a show around the release of that EP in the city and went on to become a homeowner in the city as well. So very proud of her success. This is B3. His most recent album, Lost in Paradise, generated 1.5 million streams. So different from charity, but again, this is his version, or what success looks like for him. That generated about $7,500 in income. And at that rate of releasing music and getting that level of streams, we're estimating that he could see $1,500 a month from his album streams. So this is how we're helping artists, giving them this grant money, giving them direction, giving them mentorship, giving them concierge career support. This is the success that we're seeing when we do those things. So people always want to know, what is the direct ask of Generator Music? And this is it. To run this program, it's a $400,000 annual budget. $150,000 of that goes directly to artists through that 6-week and 12-week accelerator program. Historically, the program's been funded through state economic development dollars, philanthropic dollars, foundations, from foundations and corporations, and direct partnership with cities. And that is why I'm here to talk to you all today. I'm open to all of your questions. If I'm not able to answer something specifically, I will follow up after I speak with another member of my team. But I'd love to hear what you think and what your thoughts are.
Okay. What questions do we have?
Hi, Sway. Really great presentation. Thank you for really breaking down a lot of this in a very comprehensive way. You reached out to me way back in like February or March of this year, and I didn't know how to help you. I didn't know what to do. I was very new to council still. And one of the things that really stuck out for me was one of the things you said about how I knew it would be right to have this conversation here, because one of the things you said was that, you know, putting money into the local artist economy like has direct impact on the local economy, because they take that money and they infuse it right back into the things that are happening here on a local level. So one of the things that I would love to know about is why Raleigh was on the list of places that Generator was even interested in looking into, like tapping into.
Yeah, great question. You know, if you think back to like what our mission is, race, place, and gender, we don't believe that those should be barriers to opportunity. And if we just look at the history of everything, a lot of opportunities go to those bigger, more popular coastal cities. You have your Silicon Valley, you have New York, you have LA, you know. So we pride ourselves on going to markets that are smaller, that have this desire and this need for some really innovative programs.
That's awesome. One of the things that I have really loved is being able to go out, because I'm adjacent to the creative community. I do not make music. I have a lot of friends who make music, though, and just talk about this program. And everybody's been really excited about the opportunity of investing more in creativity. I know that the city does a lot of investing in different levels in the economic development and entrepreneurship that happens across the city, and I think it misses the mark a little bit on the creative community. One of the things that really stuck out to me when I got the opportunity to visit Germany, meeting the artists that they have there, they were talking about how much the city puts into the creative community and making sure that they're represented at the economic level, at the entrepreneurial level. And I thought that was really interesting, and that's where the inspiration of me being like, maybe this is a conversation we can have during the Economic Development Committee. But I thank you for the presentation. I'm interested to hear what my other people at the table have to say, or questions they may have.
Yeah, Mary, thank you for that. And it's interesting that you mentioned Germany. Two of the artists who have featured there, Be Free and Curtis Roach, just got back from a trip to Berlin. There's a strong connection between Detroit and Berlin, and there's an exchange of artists every year where we go there, they come here, make music, do performances, show each other our cities. So Be Free and Curtis Roach just got back from there about a month ago.
That's awesome. Berlin is exactly where I was talking about, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions.
My question relates more to like the financial support for this program. What are the expectations? I wasn't really clear on that from a city standpoint.
Yeah, Generator would love to partner with a city in any way that gets us across the finish line. So traditionally, the program has been funded through corporations, foundations, also philanthropic individuals, and city funding. For instance, in Cleveland, where we ran the program, the conversation started out with a council member who was passionate about supporting the creative economy, and Cleveland had it in their budget, and they were able to afford the entire program. But in Milwaukee and Detroit, we've gotten funding from several places: local NPR radio stations, corporate networks that have a social impact arm. So it really just depends. What we would love to see is support, a champion from the market that's like, we want this, let's go and make the phone calls and talk to the people who have the dollars to spend. So that's that's what it breaks down to. I hope I'm answering your question correctly, and if not, I can follow up better. But I think what you're asking is, what do we want from you? We are looking for anybody that wants to partner on this program, help us raise the funds, connect us with the people who, again, like I said, have dollars within the community to make something like this happen. And we have a really great grants team, and we have 75 plus programs that we offer. I think we're in like 42 or 43 markets right now. The majority of those programs are grant funded. So we're no stranger to going out, being creative about how we look for these funds, and partnering with each of the people in those 40 plus markets to make things like this happen.
Yeah, what is the dollar amount? Like what kind
to run the to run the program, the annual budget is $400,000.
So then the cost of doing something like that here would be approximately $400,000. Is that what
Yes,
we would be expected to contribute?
Yeah, that's the all-in price, and that includes the 150,000 that goes to grants. Another question I sometimes get is, how involved does the city have to be? What are we expected to do? That budget covers the running of the program completely. So the recruitment process of attracting the artists to the program, the rental fees for venues, for the workshops and the end of program showcase, the director's full-time salary and benefits, that covers everything necessary to make the program happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Sway, hi, Sway. Have you done any of the groundwork on tapping into the markets here of people that are interested philanthropically in contributing, like that could provide like matching dollars or like money that along the way that could come outside of city support?
Yeah, so far, like I reached out to you earlier this year. My method of approach is to talk with people who live in the city and then to ask for warm introductions. So, Mary, I think you definitely did that, and I had conversations with I can't think of the name right now, sorry, but I've had conversations with the people who you've introduced me to, and that is. We don't want to stump in, that is how we research. That is how we find out who's there. We also love to come and visit the market and, tap in with the creative community and the other decision makers in the community and in the city and find out who should we be talking to. So far, Mary, to answer your question, I've had conversations with you, the person you connect me with, I'm forgetting, and then this meeting, which, we consider a huge opportunity to be able to talk to the people who could push something like this forward.
So I would have a suggestion. This sounds like something that would be right up strategy and innovations alley. Have they been involved so far with any discussions, and is this something we could refer to them?
No,
Some further.
So our strategy and innovation office hadn't had any touch point with this. We were looking at this presentation as kind of the first step to gauge the committee and council's interest generally in this concept. And but if the direction coming out of the committee is to have our strategy innovation office sort of pair up and investigate it further, I'll say we are happy to do that.
I would think we would want to include Sarah Powers as well, like her group.
Sure.
Sarah Powers?
Yeah, arts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really my goal with having Sway come today is how can the city provide, connections to people that are on the ground here that would be interested in putting money into this program, because I think it's really awesome. And then come back to us with something like that's more bite-sized that we can look into supporting. I think that's a really great idea of having strategy and innovation. Look at it deeply.
In our arts.
In our arts, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You want to make a motion?
Um,
Report it out and ask strategy, innovation in the arts to look at this further.
I would like to make a motion to report out the generator music programs to have strategy and innovation, and our arts program look at how we can partner and support the program getting to the Raleigh market.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. And thank you for your time and zooming in from Detroit.
Yes, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I wish I could see you guys' faces a little more clearly, but it's still great to meet everyone.
Well, it was a great presentation, so thank you for your time.
Thanks,
Thank
Sway.
you.
And has your little one quit banging cars around? Or what?
I came back to my computer and realized I wasn't muted. I'm like, oh gosh.
We're like, this is going to be entertaining. So,
No, he's great. He turned 5 on Saturday and he's really taken directions well. So he did stop banging about halfway through.
well, thank you for your time, and we'll be back in touch.
Alrighty, thank you all. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you. All right. Well, I guess that's it for our meeting today. All right. We are now adjourned.